Now we are.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for our live Q&A on all things film festival. We're 8 days away from launching our first online film festival known as the Shenandoah French Online Film Festival. So we have Dan Feldbush is our executive director here at Shen Films. And you may be asking why he's up. Dan, we can't see you.
I know that. I was going to have like a big reveal or something, but I thought, well, now's a good time.
Now's a good time.
Okay, so here goes my dignity. Okay, so this was actually really hard to put on, but it feels comfortable. So I'm, going with it.
I'm super excited. Not only as an elf, but we raised money to dress you as an elf. So thank you, all our contributors.
Now, what I was going to do was like put a background in here, but since it's green, it just blends right in. So that doesn't work very well either.
So all you can see is your hair. You can't see your hat. Oh, well, thank you for being such a good sport for our marketing ploy. We also have John Cotter, who is our programming and business director. Both of these gentlemen have a vast knowledge of film festivals and have kindly agreed, may have been coerced, to be a part of this live Q&A. All right, so we've had, for those of you that have been following us, we've had a couple of questions come through prior to this, but if you have a question while on this live, feel free to comment and we will try to answer as best we can. Okay, so I'm gonna jump right in, I guess.
Did you introduce who you were?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I'm gonna keep
Okay,
that.
so this is our mysterious person that we don't like to talk about. She just shows up, and maybe one of these years we'll find out what her name is.
I just show up and tell these guys what to do. No, I'm the marketing director. I'm behind all of the elf festivities today. And I've been the marketing director. Well, I've been with the organization for what, over a year now? Over a year.
Yeah, it's about 13 months, but nobody's counting.
So yes, marketing director.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. As Dan scrolls through backdrops.
Changing backdrops. Like the rocket. That's a good one.
It
All
looks
right,
like it's coming out of my head too. Just
like real format on who answers what question. You guys, both are very knowledgeable. So we're just gonna kick it off with questions and hope we can give people some feedback on film festivals. So Juan from Twitter asked us, what should I expect at an online film festival?
Ooh. You want me to take that one?
Oh, yeah. First, I'm curious, Sean, have you had a chance to do any online film fests yet in this new year?
Yes. I'm actually, this will be my third online film festival. I am the executive director as well for an organization called Wicked Queer in Boston. I live in Boston. It's not this snowy, but it will be soon. And we had a festival in July that lasted for 10 days. And it was great because we usually run a physical festival in April, and due to COVID shutting down everything, we had to sort of like switch gears and decided to go online. And I love actually having the freedom to be in people's living rooms if we have to. It's like, it's great actually joining a screening in a theater, but I feel like this is a really good option to see films that are not, on Netflix or like on Amazon or on cable and stuff like that, some real independent films, some short films, stuff that you're not going to necessarily see readily available. And it's nice because you can do it on your couch.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like an offshoot, as I see it, from like Netflix or Hulu and everything else. But I think the benefit from these online film festivals, what a lot of the organizations are doing, is they're giving you something that is not outside of the typical Hollywood mainstream. glitz and glamour. It's people trying to get their stories out and trying to do it in a way that is impactful. So it's a little more challenging, and I think with that challenge comes a lot more success and a lot more impact for people that do participate in any film festival, but especially online, since that's where everyone's going these days too. I think that brings up the overall quality of the films that we can present out there too.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, but with that said, I haven't had a chance to see an online film festival yet, but it does bring more of a community out there because there's a lot more give people a chance to participate in that too. And that's what we're hoping for, because it's not just watching films.
Yeah, it's really kind of being part of the sort of the community and the sort of because it is a festival. So we will be doing some kind of like Zoom meetings and stuff like, not Zoom meetings, I guess is the wrong word, because Zoom's very business.
It's very corporate.
I'm the business manager.
Yes.
Very business. But we'll be doing like filmmakers lounges, and we'll be, having filmmakers come and have chats and conversations. I mean, that's the thing that I really love about film festivals anyways, is actually going and watching a film in a crowd and then actually having the filmmaker there to talk to you if you have questions. So we want to kind of mirror that sort of experience and kind of really give you that sort of experience from your living room, which is kind of nice. And I have to say, if you haven't attended an online film festival, now's a good time to do it, because we're bringing it to you. But I feel like going forward, and you'll see this probably a lot in the next, 6 to 8 months or so, as we're sort of like figuring out the next steps, how to get ourselves out of this pandemic. You'll be seeing a lot more festivals kind of coming to you. So take advantage of it. I mean, every festival has a different vibe to it and a different sort of point of view. And because there's a lot of films that are being made that you'll never ever see in like a multiplex or, and I think that's it's kind of great to kind of really support and sort of attend and kind of like broaden your own perspective of what you're actually watching.
Yeah, you've been doing this for a little while too, and I've been doing this for a little while. Like, can you think of any online independent films that you think more people should see out there in the time that you've seen it? It doesn't relate to just Film Fest, the one that we're having in a couple of days. Is there any ones that stand out? And I think it's a good way just to show the positivity of having a film festival out there for independent filmmakers.
Right. I feel, I'm gonna, because I'm notorious about promoting my own interests. We opened at Wicked Queer, when we ran Wicked Queer this summer, we opened up with a film called Lingua Franca, which was going to be our opening night for the Fizzle Festival. And it was a really great story. It's something that you will never ever see. It's very art house, but I don't even think that it would have made the art house circuit, just because it is a trans woman director who wrote it, and she also starred in it. And now it's on Netflix, which is kind of amazing. And it's great. I mean, the storytelling is absolutely amazing. Really kind of slice of America that you don't necessarily see very often, and super good storytelling. Like, she is Isabel Sandoval, who's the director, is auteur. Honestly, like, she is like the triple threat, and one to watch too, because I've known her for a long time and I've seen her previous films. But I have to say, Lingua Franca is like it's a jewel in a crown, as far as like independent cinema.
For me, I think it was one of the first films that we had during our first International Film Festival that won. It was called The Pacifist. And it was it's a man who refused to pay his federal income taxes. And he held the largest, he's the largest tax evader, I think, currently in the United States. He'd rather go and invest his money into charities and causes out there. And it talked about his intentions and his role to not fund war causes out there. And they made the point so well, and it portrayed the person so well that you felt for him for whatever was going to happen. But the impact, and I think this is where the filmmaker really showed through, was that they were saying he's avoiding taxes, everything. They gave his actual address. He wanted to have his address, so if they think this is wrong, come and get him or something. and they've never done it too. It's the way, and you don't see this in Hollywood, is how people go about framing people's lives that is not have the glitz and glamour I was saying before, that is impactful and that you can find in film festivals. And it's different types of storytelling. And the only way to really understand it or be impacted by it is to experience it.
Yeah, we completely agree with that. And festivals also too are such a support system for filmmakers. Like, I mean, that's sort of my goal of why I'm interested in putting on film festivals, is that I want to have an opportunity and a platform to support and nurture young filmmakers, older filmmakers, established filmmakers, people who are working outside of the system, because often they get left behind. And I'm really actually excited to share the French program with the Shenandoah Film Collaborative audience, because I feel like, we put together a nice program of some features and some shorts. We have something that's very, I don't know, I guess in French it would be insouciance, insouciance maybe, which is a little sassy. We have a great coming of age story called Jean Juliette. And she's, she's I don't want to say fat girl, but she's, she's a larger girl. And I have, I feel her pain being a fat boy from in high school.
I think most Americans can relate to that oversizedness.
Yes. And she's just sort of trying to figure out herself in like navigating the popular kids, where she fits in, because she's not unpopular, but she's not necessarily, she's definitely picked on for her size. And she has like an older brother who really loves her, but he's got weird friends. And, it's a really great coming of age story. And it's a story that you don't necessarily see. And it's a French language film. It's actually Canadian, which is kind of
Does that count though? French Canadian?
It's French. It's in, yes, it's they're part of, it's French.
Yes.
No, and that's what I'm actually excited for, the French aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, I guess some people might like know more about it than I do, but I was excited to be immersed into the culture more. So but that kind of brings us into Mizuki from Instagram's question is, can you still get the festival experience on an online platform? So like we talked about, like you said, it's French kind of themed. If we were in person, it would be a lot different, but because it's an online platform, I can see that's a valid question.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part, is trying to figure out the right balance of the in-person experience and being at home. And I feel like that's our social sort of outreach and social sort of like the filmmakers lounges and stuff like that. I hope people participate in them, because it is a way to, once you've watched a program or a feature film of, you get to talk to the filmmaker and ask them questions, and really kind of like, that's your one-on-one time. It's kind of, and that's always really great, because, and I love, especially if I've watched something that I'm like, oh, like a little shocked by, or I don't quite understand. It's good to have that moment to ask the question. And, I feel like that's a great way to sort of like really also get to know the filmmaker and also the community as well, because you're probably not the only person wanting to know the answer to that question.
Well, and probably like I guess the online platform makes it easier to access the filmmakers, because if we do international films, obviously they're not going to fly in here for a film festival. Right. So being able to have access to them, I think, is probably a really good pro for online platform.
And I have to say, a lot of like when we put it out to the filmmakers that we're screening, a lot of them were very excited about joining us. So that's, I mean, I think it's really great. And like I said, I want this to be like sort of when we were sort of thinking about it, I do want this to be like a true festival where there is that sort of social aspect of it, as well as watching films. And I want people, I hope that folks at home and the audience, when they come in and watch what we're doing, ask us questions and get involved. Like we want that give and take.
Yeah, I think that engagement's going to be key for the overall experience of it. Is people, which hopefully, you have your introverts and your extroverts. So hopefully the online platform might even bring people to engage more that might not have done it in a traditional setting. So that's kind of my hopes for it too, is we might get a different type of engagement. So that's super exciting. But yeah, so you were telling us a little about one of the feature films, and Susan from Instagram is interested. Obviously, she knows it's French films because that's what we've been advertising, but what kinds of films are we going to be screening? Just like generalized topics, I think, is what we're looking for here.
What kind of films?
Ones that involve you listening to and watching.
Well, all of them are in French, so that's that check. We have some drama, we have a little romance, we have a little sex comedy, we have, like I said, we have our coming of age story. There's an entire horror and sci-fi shorts program, which is kind of great. I mean, I love horror films, so it was an easy it was an easy put together, because we actually received a lot of submissions for the festival that were horror and sci-fi, and I feel like that's, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm kind of gravitate to those kind of stories because everything is so heavy around us. It's a great way of being escapist. There's also a program of what's called Fresh Perspectives, and it's sort of a more modern sort of lens of what's kind of going on as far as living while French, I guess would be the right word. And it, it's not necessarily what you think, too. And it's surprising how film and cinema in itself is kind of a universal sort of art medium. Storytelling is very universal, regardless of what language it is in. And I feel like the Fresh Perspectives program kind of like demonstrates that very well. And then we also have a program of animation, which is kind of great. And it's all different kinds of animation, which is great.
I know this is where your lack of enjoyment of animation comes out, Sean.
I love anime.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where it at.
Well, I think one of the benefits that we've had, and I've gotten a chance to see a lot of these French animation. There's one school in France, I don't know it off the top of my head, or if I knew it, I probably couldn't pronounce it, is where they've submitted a lot of their shorts. And I think that's the cool part of this is we get a lot of, well, it's fresh perspectives, as you put it, from up and coming animators too, and going about telling a story in a different way. And that's another thing that you get to see on here too, is, as they call it, the younger generation, going about trying to define what is storytelling out there. And you could see that from this online festival.
Yeah, it's also a lot of identity as well, and I feel like that was a lot of common theme in some of the animation stuff, a lot of the shorts, even like I said in Jean Juliet, it's the people trying to figure out who they are, where their place is in the world, and what their impact is. And I feel like those are universal themes that we can all kind of grip onto.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have anything else for that.
Awesome. No, you guys proved great points. So I don't have an easy way to segue into this next question from this conversation, but Carl from Facebook wants to know, and we've talked a little bit about it so far, the benefits of attending an online festival. Like we've talked about, the difficulties in, being in person and online. And I guess he's looking for more of the pros in, our world right now of visiting an online versus an in-person festival.
Well, for me, and this is because I've had to wear this elf costume and have like yellow tights on right now, which you can't see, is that you don't need to worry about how you present yourself when you go into an online film festival, because, well, we're all in the same situation. We're all at our home or in an area where we can sit there and enjoy it. And I think it also, like, when you're sitting there watching it, even though you might have somebody with you or you might be alone too, know that there are other people out there enjoying it with you as well too. And we're giving you the opportunity to come together during some of these filmmaker, what did you call it, Sean?
Filmmaker lounges.
Thank you. Filmmaker lounges, to talk a little bit more about it, to learn their perspective of what the film is going to be about, as well as give your thoughts on it too. And I think the community aspect is what we try to build more as an organization. And it's always fun to be with a community of like-minded people.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. You know, it is the pro. You know, you can be at home, you make your own snacks.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, come from somebody myself, I have a tad bit of social anxiety, so I personally would be able to enjoy and pay attention to the film more in a smaller setting rather than a big theater or a big event. I wouldn't be fully focused on it as I would at home. So I'm kind of excited for that part of it, because I really will be able to maybe catch things I didn't catch before, or see things. So that's, for me, is kind of exciting.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of go off on your thread there. The other great thing is that the festival is running from the 18th to the 31st of January, so you can pick your own schedule. If you're a vampire and love watching things at 3:30 in the morning, go for it. No one's gonna judge. Just do it. You know, if you are like, you know, while the kids are at school on Zoom and you're chilling in the living room at, you know, 1:30, you know, you can pop a feature on. You know, you can kind of view at your own schedule, which is kind of nice.
No, I think that's a fantastic, because that definitely is a very positive for online platforms, is the availability of it.
Now, I'm not sure about our platform. Can you watch a movie over again after you've watched it, Sean?
You can.
How does that system go with us?
You can, but you really shouldn't. I'm not going to say anything officially.
Okay.
Next
But
question.
the film does get available for you from the start of the film festival to the end too.
Yeah, as soon as you buy a ticket, you have access to that film, and we do have single tickets and also a variety of passes. You know, there are 7 programs total. There are 38 films, I think. I forget off the top of my head.
I think that sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah. So I mean, that's you know, there's a bit to watch. And you know, like I said, we pulled some diamonds out of the dustbin for this, which is kind of nice. And another pro for for supporting a film festival from the comfort of your own home is they're actually supporting filmmakers. Netflix probably not going to give your director a cut. Sorry about it. But yeah, but you know, we as a film festival, we kind of strive ourselves to make sure that we are actually supporting and paying our filmmakers, which is kind of nice. Because it's hard, especially the short filmmaker. It's hard to monetize your art making and your storytelling. I know myself, I'm a short filmmaker myself, and I don't ever make any money on my films, and that's okay. I still make them. Still force people to watch them.
And that leads me into a question on Facebook: what are the benefits, or what does the film festival benefit? So obviously, you know, it benefits the filmmakers, but you know, the Shenandoah Film Collaborative itself, what parts of, you know, a festival does it benefit? Does it other organizations?
So from the so the question is, what are the benefits of participating in this? Correct?
So, like, I guess in layman's terms, where's the money going? Like, okay, they are buying tickets. So is it, obviously we're not a for-profit thing, which I think anybody that follows us knows that. But
Or sees our bank
what's
account.
I hope they don't see her bank account. But what, people want to feel good about what they buy sometimes. They want to feel like they're doing something good other than getting a good.
Yeah, and that's one of the goals that we try to set as an organization too, is to find those impactful groups out there to make a difference. For this film festival out here, we are donating a small portion of the online proceeds to that said organization, as well as some of the money will be going back into the organization for future programming. And that's the aspect that we try to find a common meaning for, because we need to keep our organization running, as well as it's always feels good to make an impact on, like, say, for instance, I don't know, the Humane Society out there, or I don't know, that's the first one that just popped in my head. There's other organizations that make an impact. And, 'tis the season for giving, so you can give as well as get. I don't know. I don't like that, how I phrase that, but I'm already knee deep in it, so I'm just going to dive right in.
No, I think you answered it very well. Those questions can be kind of tricky. So no, I hope you like that answer. Sean, we have a question directed towards you from Emily. She would like to know, what's the most important to you when programming for festivals, and what principles guide your decisions?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I look for, and when I'm programming, one, it has to excite me. Like just like watching something. I watch a lot of, as you can imagine, I watch a lot of films. I mean, it's for me, it's like 365 a year. I'm watching films. So I see a lot of stuff. So, I mean, storytelling is really important. Visually, like cinematography, editing. Editing is always a hard thing, because I know myself as a filmmaker, editing is really tough. It's hard to, like, trim down your darling, I guess. And I know that's hard for a lot of people, but editing is such a great, is always something that I look for, because it affects the pacing of the story. It affects if it's any kind of action that's going on in it. It does affect all of that. With animation, it kind of, it's like you want your point A to your point B to feel like a ride, and that kind of editing will, sort of accomplish that. Novel subjects too, like if it's a story that I haven't heard before, and it's also an authentic story. Like, I don't like when people try to talk about cultures or identities that are not their own. It's one thing to celebrate, but it's another thing to sort of like, I don't know, I'm at a loss for the word, but like, it doesn't ring as authentic. And I feel like you can see through it. So I don't like that sort of that that's always a big turnoff to me, as far as when I'm watching something or looking for something to program. And I also think about the audience. Like, is this I mean, this is funny to me, but is it going to be funny to somebody else? And sometimes I hit it out of the park. Sometimes I don't. I'm human.
Well, that's probably the hardest part, is the audience, and knowing, like you said, what you may like may not be what somebody else, finds funny, or whatever, the theme may be. So I can imagine, as somebody who's selecting the films, it's got to be a difficult part of it, is taking into consideration, hey, I might not have liked this, but maybe somebody else would.
Maybe someone else would. Yeah, it's like definitely like story, and stories that you feel like are important to promote. And you might not necessarily love them personally or relate to them personally, but to kind of recognize the sort of importance. And it's also like, it shouldn't, in programming, it shouldn't always be about one person. It's a team. We are a film collaborative, and we do want people to be involved in that process. So I mean, it was great. We assembled quickly a team of screeners that did a lot of watching in a very short period of time, and bravo and brava to them for helping out. And I loved actually reading some of people's perspectives on films, and it was great because they saw things in the film that I didn't necessarily catch. And that's great. And
I think it goes to the different voices that are out there too, both
right.
people's the way that they interpret something, as well as the films themselves. Variety is the spice of life, and yeah, one way to get those spices is through a spicy film, spicy French film.
Spice rack.
Having
The spice rack.
Screeners. I gotta have.
Let the spices go until my ancestors say stop.
Yes.
We'll workshop that, Sean, and then come back.
Fair. For the Spicy Film Festival, which is our next one.
Yes.
Yes. I love it. It'd be great.
I wouldn't even know what that would.
I don't know. Where would you start with that, and how would you put out a call for that?
I have no idea.
For all you salty filmmakers.
Right. Well, salty's easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the easy one.
Pepper us with submissions.
Zesty. Zesty cinema.
What about the bland ones? Are you going to add those in too?
We'd have to show. There was a rom-com that was called Mistress of the Spices, with I think. Oh my God! Never mind.
Never mind.
No, moving on. Moving on.
All right. Well, at the moment, I don't have any more questions coming in. I think we have hit the nail on the head with a lot of great topics.
Yeah, and plus my wig, I'm starting to cut off circulation for here too. So
your wig's too tight.
I know we just kind of talked about screeners a little bit. Maybe Dan might want to elaborate on that process. If anybody's interested in collaborating with us.
Yes, because you can't call the Shenandoah Film Collaborative without being collaborative out there too. And one of the things that we are looking for in for the future is help from everyone out here too. So what you should see in the chat function in here is our URL. And I believe, Sean, you have the tickets are available now.
Tickets are on sale now.
Good.
$10 to get you into every program.
Yes.
Well, for a ticket. Get you into one program.
So if you go into the link, it'll take you to the website, and you will have a couple of different options on there. From there, you can go into our online program, which you can go and pre-purchase the tickets, and it'll become available on the 18th. Another option is you can volunteer to sign up for being a screener or other different things within our organization. We're always looking for new ideas or new perspectives to continue to grow the organization. We can't be collaborative without the community, and one way to get connected with us is to go onto our website and register. So then we'll be in touch, and then we can have that back and forth conversation. We'll see where that goes too.
Yeah, and a commitment to screening is not really a big deal. Like, we're not going to like give you 10,000 films to watch. It's it'll be manageable. So please get involved.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for participating in our question and answer live. And thank you everybody for all the great questions. You will see us more as the festival kicks off, and we will continue promoting. And if you still have any questions, feedback, you want to figure out how to collaborate with us, feel free to message, email, comment. We are everywhere.
Yeah, because 2020 is going to be lit.
Yes.
It's gonna be lit.
Bang.
It's gonna be lit like this forest behind me. Backlit. So get involved.
And thank you. And I just realized I'm the one that has to end this. So
Oh, you have to end it.
Yes.